What's good, folks? It's Warframe here with a new Warframe video, coming at you with a video on the Warframe website. Now, for those who don't know, on the official Warframe website, DE has their list of Warframes and their assigned roles. However, these roles just don't make sense. And not only that, they also do share the complexity of each Warframe. And we're not going to go over all of them, but just know that not all of these make sense. Now, if we go over here to the drop-down menu, you can see all roles. This shows every single Warframe. As we scroll down, we got damage, survival, support, crowd control, and stealth. Now, usually you would think, okay, any Warframe that has invisibility will be under the stealth category, and if they can do anything extra, they'll have another category right next to it. So let's start off with the first Warframe, Ash. Now, he's just marked as stealth and nothing else. And for those who know Ash, you know he does more than just being stealth. If we click on the Warframe, it will show us how complex the Warframe is. And the complexity is at 1. This is absolutely false because there's a lot of nuance to Ash's gameplay and what he can do. He may not be the greatest Warframe in the world, but there is a lot more going on in his kit to be given a complexity of 1. If we go back and we go to someone like Atlas, who is marked as just damage, we click on his little profile here, you can see he's given a complexity ranking of 2. And we all know Atlas is just press one button and he does his big punchy kabloomies. His fourth ability is quite mediocre and is only useful with an augment with the melee influence interaction. His petrify is only there to petrify. We don't talk about that. Yeah, everybody knows Atlas for punchy. However, he's given a higher complexity than someone like Ash. And Ash only has the stealth category and not stealth and damage. And some of you might be wondering, why should you give Ash a damage category? And this is why Ash should be given the damage category as well. Do our fourth ability, you're going to see we're dealing 2 million damage, all this crazy amounts of damage right now. And this is just a fourth ability build. He has so much more, especially when you synergize the passive with the invisibility, giving you more crits. Ash has a lot of nuance to his kit, while Atlas just punches things. Let's be honest, he punches things and he punches things real hard. That's about it. Moving on, we have Banshee here as crowd control. Let's see her complexity is 1. A lot of players won't agree with this because, well, let's be honest, they have a harder time playing Banshee because they don't know how to survive with Banshee, and her silence has a lot of mechanics to it that people still don't understand. How he can stun enemies, disable enemy abilities, yes, even violence. You can cancel out his ability silence. Sonar has a lot of complexity when it comes to its debuffing. We ignore Soundquake, that's horrible. Sonic Boom, well, it's a CC, but it's also can be an armor strip with the augment. But if this is just a base kit, then the first ability is just a crowd control. The Sonar still allows you to deal a lot of damage. Silence is a crowd control, but it's not consistent unless you bought it to be consistent. Yeah, and you have to play around its range. So that complexity ranking is a bit too low for someone like Banshee. I'm not going to go over every Warframe, but I'm just going to show you the prime examples, and they just happen to be the first few frames. We go over to someone like Baruch. What does Baruch do, guys? Well, you know him for punching things really hard, just like Atlas, yet he's not given a damage roll. Now, frames can have more than 2 categories. As we go down to Nezha here, as you can see here, Nezha's given damage, survival, and crowd control. Nezha's not that great with damage unless you use the augment and a helmet. His first ability ignites enemies. Second ability staggers, ignites enemies, debuffs them. His fourth ability is a crowd control through and through. And yes, his third ability gives him a lot of survivability. And the only way he can deal damage is if you armor strip, spam his fourth ability, or run low-level missions with Roar, spamming his fourth ability, or his first ability augment, which is very clunky. Or if you run the infamous fourth ability augment. Otherwise, he's not necessarily a damage Warframe. For example, someone like Nidus as well, he's considered damage. But the only thing that actually damages enemies is his first ability, and it's mostly used to build up stacks, so he can be very tanky. Now, he does have quite a lot of crowd control with his second and fourth ability and his first ability, but that's just one target. However, he's not seen as a damage-dealing Warframe. Now, all of these are very, very funny. So if we go back to Baruch, you already know him for punching things, yet he's not given the damage category. If I pull up Baruch right now, his second ability, clearly a crowd control that puts enemies to sleep, and we use that to erode our restraint meter. Third ability is a crowd control. It disarms targets, but it also gives you some damage reduction. However, when we get over to his fourth ability, that's when we do damage. And I'm surprised he doesn't have the damage category when he does a lot of damage. Caliban, survival, and crowd control. He does have a lot of crowd control. That is true. He has really good survivability. And yes, these two do make sense. We move over to someone like Chroma. Chroma doesn't do damage inherently with his abilities. Now, if you're talking about the Tickle Tickle with his first ability, sure, I guess. But he's mostly a weapon platformer. Let's go over the complexity of Chroma. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. How is Chroma? Wait, what? How is Chroma more complex than Ash and Atlas? What? What about Baruch? Okay, that makes a bit more sense. He is quite of a complex Warframe. Hold up, you know, now let me check someone like Equinox. Surely. Wow, a whole 5 out of 5 complexity. That is actually, okay, that does make sense, but she's only categorized as a support. Huh? Wait, what? This Warframe, sure, she's a support in her night form. She has some supportive capabilities in her day form. Sorry, one supportive capability in her day form, which is just giving allies bonus ability strength. Otherwise, she does more than supports. Her third ability does give allies bonus strength, sure. She does Tickle Tickle with her fourth ability, and you build up damage from killing enemies. Now I have 11 million damage on Maim. So what happens when I unleash it? Well, we nuke everything. Where's the damage category on Equinox out of all the Warframes? Also, let's not forget Metamorphosis allows you to get buffs. In day form, you become a weapon platform frame. You buff your damage and you move really fast. In night form, you become tankier. So where's the survivability portion? And the only thing that technically supports allies is the fourth ability, Mend, in night form. So how is she only given a support category? Where's the damage portion? Also, let's not forget, she's a crowd control frame. Look at that, she can put enemies to sleep. Let's also not forget, with her third and fourth ability in night form, she becomes a bit more tankier. You can see we're tanking a lot of damage here. Not only that, we're slowing them down. So when we kill enemies, we also replenish our shields. Look how slow this enemy is, barely doing any damage. So where's the survivability portion on her? And yes, she is very complex, but come on, DE. Excalibur's just damage, sure. But what about his crowd control? Radial Blind is a crowd control. Furious Javelin is a crowd control. When he has his fourth ability active, and he just does a slight attack, he activates Radial Blind. It's also a crowd control. Where's the crowd control category on this guy? Gyre is... That doesn't make sense. This is crowd control? I mean, if they're dead, sure. Yeah. Gyre is totally boys. Harrow is just a support. Okay. If Chroma is categorized as damage and he's a weapon platformer, why isn't Harrow also considered damage? Because he's technically a weapon platformer with his fourth ability. Also, where's the crowd control? He also does crowd control. Gara also crowd controls with her third ability and her fourth ability. Those are her main crowd controlling tools. Let's also not forget her first ability will knock down enemies and knock them back, depending on how you activate the first ability. Where's Gus's crowd control category? He can freeze enemies, knock them down, stagger them, and if you also use the augment, you can radial suck them. Where is Garuda's support and crowd control? She has her blood altar. She also can bleed enemies and stagger them with her fourth ability. Okay. Before we get too deep here and go crazy, let's have a look at some of the complexities of these Warframes. A 3. He definitely needs a bit more than that. So Gus has a lot more complexity to his kit. Now he has this thing on the right. That's his red line gauge, his meter, whatever. When you build up kinetic energy, you charge it up, and you cannot go beyond that unless you activate red line. And to charge up red line, you need to use your first ability or your third ability in its cold form. And if you keep on taking damage while you have your second ability up, you lose the red line. And if you use the Heat Sunder, you lose red line. However, people don't know that you can use the Heat Sunder and still keep getting red line. For example, if I activate red line right now, and I use Heat Sunder, I lose red line. You can see right there. But watch this. I'm gaining red line, but using Heat Sunder, while still maintaining DPS. And how am I doing that? Well, activating the third ability while using Mach Rush, the first ability. I feel like that's a bit more complex to a lot of casual players who don't really utilize that function. Why is Ivara just stealth? Yeah, Ashe and Ivara are just stealth, while Site 09 is stealth and damage, while Site 09 and Ivara are pretty much the same Warframe. Jade is support, Equinox is the support. These two are pretty much the same Warframe, but she flies and has armor strip. I can agree there. Yeah, Kome is not a damage Warframe. She tickles enemies to death, and if she gets a 666, she has a chance of dealing damage, because you have to remember, when you roll a 666, you're still not guaranteed having the good damage over time elements. Her fourth ability is a crowd control ability, so where's the crowd control there? And how is Mag just crowd control? She has pull, crowd control, magnetize, that crowd controls, but it's also a damage amplifier, a debuffer, and when it explodes, it deals radial explosions. The fourth ability replenishes allies' shields as well. Where's the support part? Loki's not just stealth. His second ability is the only thing that is stealth. His entire kit is crowd control. He's got decoy, he's got radial disarm, he's got switch teleports. I'm defending Loki here. This whole thing doesn't make sense. How is Stynex just damage? This also doesn't make sense. Now, if you take a look at some of the complexities of these Warframes, they're going to be ridiculously low. Let's see Mag. Mag is not a 2 with complexity. Loki. Okay, 1. That makes sense. He's not that complex. Mirage. Okay. I bet you a lot of casual players die with Mirage. They should also factor in how to survive with Warframes that don't have proper survivability tools. Now, for those who are saying, oh, she can just activate her Eclipse, get damage reduction. No, that is actually not her main way of surviving. Her best survivability tool is her first and killing enemies. Activating the first ability, being on the move, will distract enemies, and that will give you a chance to kill them. You can literally be in front of enemies and they're not even able to hit you. You keep moving. Look at my health. I took damage there. This is how you survive with Mirage. You have to keep moving with her, because the more you move, the more you distract the enemies. Look at that. Look at that. How is she less complex than... What? Gyre. Oh, God. What? I swear, if Inara... Oh, how is Inara more complex than... What? Oh, my God. It makes no sense. The E. Who did this? Who was in charge of this? Who was in charge of this? And Wisp is just support. So we're going to ignore that she crowd controls. How her second ability literally is 3 of Loki's abilities. She's got decoy. She goes invisible. Ooh, yeah, where's her stealth? She has switch teleport. She has invulnerability. She has a lot of health. She can blind enemies. Now, for those wondering, why not put the damage category on Wisp? This is a thing discussed in chat. We ignore her fourth ability. Yeah, that thing doesn't do damage. What about Breach Surge? Breach Surge doesn't inherently do damage. You have to do damage to a Breach Surge affected target for it to spread damage. And how is Yoreli marked as oh my god, this does. What's her complexity? A 1. Yeah, sure. She doesn't do damage. I'm gonna go on Yoreli here. So let's put a lot of strength on her. Okay, that will buff our damage abilities. Now let's see what these so-called damage abilities are. Now, Aqua Blades is supposed to deal damage, but it doesn't deal damage unless you get close to it. Yeah, damage. And then some might argue the fourth ability does damage. That's a lot of damage, sure. The first ability surely does damage. No. She's only a secondary weapon platformer. And how is that? She just gives it more crit chance. And her first ability is pretty much a debuff similar to Neja and Banshee. But if you look at this objectively, that crowd controls enemies. That looks like a crowd control. That's a crowd control. That's a crowd control. She doesn't do damage. She's a crowd control Warframe. Why is Yoreli marked as damage? Zaku is crowd control and damage. His fourth ability staggers enemies, slows them down. His third ability tethers 2 targets, lifts enemies up, and turns them into allies. How does Zaku not have crowd control? Vauban also deals damage. Where is his damage category? Yes, he does a lot of crowd control, but his second ability and third ability do damage. This whole thing makes no sense. Corvex also does damage. Where's his damage? Oh my god, how is Octavia not damage and crowd control? Enemies are attacking me right now. I throw this. They're not attacking me anymore. Clearly, that's crowd control. Right? I put this down, completely divert their attention to it. They're not attacking me. Hey, ball, don't come to me. They're not attacking me, but they're attacking the ball with the mallets, and they're killing themselves. That should also be considered damage. Also, where is her stealth category? Yes, she supports allies with her 3, her 4. But where is her stealth? Where is her damage and crowd control category? But yeah, this is something to look at. I will link this in the comment and description so you can go check it out for yourself. Have a gander and a little bit of a laugh, but you know, they got someone who knows the Warframes just a little bit to give this whole ranking system, or it kind of shows that the devs themselves don't know the game. Anyway, folks, that has been it for me. I do hope you enjoyed and learned something from this video. If you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, funnies, and streams, so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching. As always, peace. Bye-bye now. Bye. Bye-bye.